Go. We are in Genesis chapter 34. Moving right along, you are looking at one of the most important elements of thematic strands that runs through the book of Genesis, and there's a reason for that. Because ultimately, the people of God, as constituted by Moses, or in the time of Moses, will eventually succumb to the threats of the internal threats of the Canaanites, the inducements, and the very problem that's foreshadowed in Genesis chapter 34 will overtake this people. And we're going to look at a passage about that. So there's so much of this in Genesis where you'll see foreshadowing of later fulfillments of the promise, or later threats to the covenant and so forth. You'll see that sort of thing, or just events like that, foreshadowing the Exodus itself, where I don't know where I was going. Where's there? I guess not. I don't know what I was talking about there. I must have known something when I said it. Now I'm talking nonsense, so I should just keep going. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of foreshadowing going on, an eerie reflection of later events in the Bible, or later, I don't know, elements of Israelite history and tradition. So we're going to highlight them as we go, and this is one of them, one of the most important. It's repeated, obviously. So from 12 to 34, you see this many threats to the covenant, to the promise of the choosing of the people of God, and then of the giving of the land. And so we're going to look at that in 34. We just came through a threat to the covenant, to the promise, which was Jacob's encounter with Esau. Before that, it was Laban, one after another. His flight from, well, that foreshadows the Exodus. That's what I was thinking of. When Jacob leaves Paddan Aram, or Haran, to go back to Canaan, you see this flight to Canaan, which is exactly what happened in the Exodus. And you see the enemy pursuing, you see the enemy overtaking, and then you see the enemy, which is Laban in this case, rendered impotent in his attempt to do anything to the people of God, which is Jacob's family. And so there's more. And then you see when he gets to Canaan, the next threat's Esau. And you fully expect that to be a far more formidable threat because of the nature of Esau and the promise that was made by Esau just before Jacob left in his flight away from Canaan, when he said, "After my father is dead, I'm going to kill him." Well, it turns out his father is not dead yet. So the promise, the vow, is still waiting to be fulfilled. So does Esau show up to Jacob and kill him and wipe everybody out and take all the stuff? Or does he renew his vow? As soon as our father is dead, I'm going to kill you. Or what does he do? Or does he do something else? And the answer is something else happens. And that something else is Esau. Actually, Jacob is expecting hostility. So he he chooses the path of appeasement by sending the gifts. And honestly, in my view, he would have been willing to give everything. Esau will have none of it, and Esau then initiates the reconciliation. Esau's the one that's grown in the relationship between Esau and Jacob. Esau can't wait to see him, calls him my brother, everything's fine, and so forth. There appears to be this lingering doubt, perhaps suspicion on the part of Jacob. And so when Esau wants to escort him back down to Mount Seir, he can't go to Mount Seir or Seir. He's got to go to Canaan to get the promise. So that's a threat. Jacob declines. Esau says, "Well, how about if I leave? It's dangerous. How about if I leave my men with you and they can escort you?" And he declines that as well. And I just personally get this distinct impression that Jacob's not quite yet sure of Esau's nature or intent. But there's no hint on the part of the narrator or in Esau's manner that he's harboring any grudges against Jacob. And that kind of foreshadows Joseph a little bit. after the brothers wronged Joseph, well, they expect Joseph in Egypt, eventually it comes out, they expect hostility from him. He will have none of it. He's way over it. He understands the larger picture. And so there's that reconciliation as well. So this right here, as I think Esau and Jacob foreshadows or prefigures in a sense, that theme as well later. Where you can just see God over and over again, even without God being visible in the narrative, him directing paths, directing narrative, directing events, directing people, and accomplishing what he wants, what he's ordained to happen, but he almost never does it the way that anybody would have guessed or predicted. He does not choose the path of least resistance, and he never works in a straight line. And he's multitasking. He's working in Jacob's life, he's working in Laban, he's working in Esau, he's doing all these things at one time, so that when they all come together, it looks like this artistry, this artistic mosaic of the history of redemption. It's a microcosm of that, right? Salvation and so forth with Jacob and his family, his preservation of Esau that will continue through the centuries. But this artistry, that artistic tapestry that God weaves in the history of redemption, really in the mess that humans make of things, it's even more artistic and amazing. So that's how I think of stories like this. Why he doesn't, you could say, why would he let this happen to Leah? Why would he let this happen to Hagar, the servant of Sarah, who Sarah gave to Isaac? Why would he let it happen? Well, on reflection, maybe there's no regrets. They all get taken care of. Maybe they would all say, maybe Leah would say, I have no regrets. All things considered, this was the best path. Joseph, do you think he regretted it? Did he say after all that time in Egypt as a slave and the 2 years enslaved because of Potiphar's wife? Did he have regrets? I think they all walked away, no regrets. The one who never regrets is God himself. Right. Except that he made man. Because he said so. Genesis chapter 6. I regret that I had made man. That might be the only time I remember a regret. And that's a massive regret, right?
In his wanderings, I think he expressed some frustration and regret.
Oh yeah, for frustration, yes. But specifically where it says, I'm sorry I did this. The only time I know of when he said, I'm sorry I did this, it just so happens, I'm sorry I even made this being, this human, these humans, Let that be a lesson to your pride. Well, I'm a good person. I've been a pretty good person. I think God will welcome me into heaven because I've been a pretty good person. You sure about that?
I saw a meme on Facebook that Santa Claus became a Calvinist. Everybody's getting cold.
Maybe it's just self-flattery. Humans love to self-flatter. Tell themselves stories in their heads about how good they are. Always looking at the positive side. Always a victim. Never my fault. Most of the bad stuff that's happened in my life is my fault. It originated with me doing wrong or doing something stupid or something like that. So God, why didn't you stop? Why didn't you protect me from my own stupidity and foolishness? Well, that is another thing. Okay, that's enough of that. I was off the cuff. I don't know what the purpose it was for, but okay, let's take a look here. Right off the bat, this is the English Standard Version versus the New American Standard Version. New American Standard's 1971. Same basic philosophy of translation, what's called formal equivalence, as opposed to NIV, which would be something known as dynamic equivalence, thought for thought. Most translators, most scholars would say there's no such thing as formal equivalence. There's no such thing as translating word for word. They're right about that. It's false that for every word in one language, there's another word that means exactly the same thing. Doesn't work like that. But what do you notice? Remember you've heard me talk about headings over passages. Anything strike you about these two headings? Any difference in thought on the part of the translators about the important thing to bring out about the narrative? It just hits you in the face. Yeah.
I can't.
The defiling of Dinah and the treachery of Jacob's sons.
Okay. So
Yeah, right here.
Separate.
Does it let me highlight this? Oh, it does. Look at that.
Everything, because still got a few screws, you know.
So they want to highlight, New American Standard wants to highlight what they conceive of as the treachery of Jacob's sons. So they're looking at it from that vantage point and pulling that out. English Standard Version sees the text about not the treachery of Jacob's sons, but the defiling of the sister that leads to and is the cause of, proximate cause of, definitely treachery, the treachery of Jacob's. It had a prior cause, and you know, if I was going to put a header over this, it would be something like the threat of that the Canaanites represent for intermarriage or assimilation. That's what I'm going to pull out of this.
I might say something like, kinsman redemption gone awry.
Yeah. If I was going to have to reduce it to a few words, it would be the threat of assimilation. That would be mine.
The New King James says, the sins of Jacob's family.
Well, my NIV says Dinah and the Shechemites.
You can do it that way too. Just Dinah and the Shechemites, just, you know,
They're both there. It's hard to come up with one label to cover an entire chapter.
just tell, okay, that's the basic subject matter. You know, but these headers, you got to watch it because they lead you in a certain direction and they form your thinking as you come into the narrative, which is why I usually turn them off.
Yeah.
But in this case, I just happened to have it up and I was looking for, there's some interesting differences in translation here for two translations that use formal equivalence. They make some different choices here or there's some interesting differences, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, we gotta understand that these chapter headings are not part of the inspired text. They're put in there by human authors who are editing the book. And sometimes it can be helpful. Typically, I don't even look at them unless I'm searching for a passage. Then I look at the header because it might help me find what I'm looking for.
Well, what you can do is, what you really want to do is do the work yourself.
Yeah.
You read the thing without that help. You just read it and you study it and you put your own header over it. And then you can go look at these different translations and see what they're doing. Okay. Just so happens we got a guy who's in seminary right now, right? Aren't you in seminary? What do you call it? Bible school?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not as fancy.
He's doing another grad work.
Bible, did you hear? What's the difference between Bible school and seminary? It's not as fancy. That's fine.
Bible school's undergrad, seminary grad.
Okay. Where's my notes? I'm gonna look at my notes this one. Since I wrote them.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
This- was it, obviously it wasn't a good thing.
What?
I don't know. Simeon is about
Their actions?
Yeah,
No, their actions were treacherous, there's no question about it. But they're understandable.
If they would have limited it to taking out Shechem,
do you think
that would
they
have
could
been
just,
fun.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you ask who acted honorably in this story,
I'm just,
well, if you were gonna have to pick, you would say the two brothers who
Would
said,
they
we're not
just
gonna let this happen to our sister.
oh, yeah. Just refusing them to take their sister and,
Well, she just went. That's her. Let's just read. We'll read the first 4 verses again. And then we'll discuss this. This is out of English Standard. I'm gonna leave this up because we're gonna look at a bunch of differences. Now, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the women of the land. The New American Standard calls them the daughters of the land. And that's an interesting translation because it gives a slightly different nuance. The daughters of the land implies that the women are sort of birthed from the land. They're part and parcel of the land. And I think that's accurate. That's the problem with the intermarriage. They're of the land of Canaan. That's the problem. And so that comes out pretty strongly in the New American Standard translation. It's probably also the closer to, I don't know what the Hebrew word, I don't know Hebrew, so, but I'm sure they're both fair translations. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, so this is in the city of Shechem, the Hivite, so these are Hivites, the prince of the land, that's Hamor, saw her. So when Shechem saw Dinah, he seized her. This is the English Standard Version. He seized her and lay with her and humiliated her. New American Standard. Saw her, took her, and lay with her by force. So they both make clear that this was rape. No way around it. The ESV brings out the idea of the shame from the vantage point of the brothers, the dishonoring of their sister Dinah. They bring that out in translation. And his soul, so after this, raping her, welcome to Genesis. It's just graphic. It's right straight out there. It's not over yet after this story. His soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. So, how long did he have this woman? Because where is she right now? Still with him. Spoke tenderly to her. Well, look at the narrative compression there. In one verse, he takes her by force, and in the next verse, he speaks tenderly to her. Now, we don't know what transpired between those two, but come on. So Shechem spoke to his father, Hamor, saying, get me this girl for my wife. And so there's this terseness. You know terseness? Everybody know what terse means? A lot of narrative is terse.
No. Please.
Terse.
Like, sorry,
Huh.
explain.
That's not what I thought the definition was. A few words devoid of superfluity, meaning
Like you said,
short,
Russ.
brusque, something like that.
Short and bright. No different as Samson told his parents, get her.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So, very, very quick. We go from Dinah curious and sort of excited to go meet the daughters of the land. Well, no good's going to come from that, from the vantage point of the promise, right? So she's venturing out on a forbidden venture. So this is going to end either in disaster or a near disaster.
Out to see her friends, like she knows somebody other than her cousin. I've never read that as evil.
Oh, I didn't say it was evil. I said she's just what's the word? Innocent. Her eyes are not wide open.
It's been over and over, all these really like young girls, she probably wasn't full grown.
That very well could be she's out, but she's not going to see the men of the land. She's going to see the daughters of the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's looking for friends. I mean, they just,
Yeah.
you get the idea they just arrived in the area and she's trying to meet friends.
It's got this feel of, there's lots of movies like this where the girl ventures out unaware of the dangers and, gets trapped and so forth. It's got that kind of, did you see the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson? Oh, yeah, she's walking into there's a scene where she walks into the hotel and there's drug dealers are on the other side and they're going to trap her. And as she's walking in, they're going back and forth from her face to the hotel and them on the other side. And when they show her, they show a little gazelle feeding innocently. And then when they show them, it's the cheetah bearing down. And they go back and back and back and back and forth as she walks in until they meet. And then the cheetah springs on the gazelle at the same moment. It's a really well done scene, but it has that kind of, before that happens, no, that's not true. After that happens, but before the next disaster, which would be intermarriage, things will happen. Go ahead, Nate.
No. It's ducks.
What is it?
The movie.
Oh, I didn't say the movie was great. I just said that scene was,
Because it,
I'm not recommending it. I'm just pointing out,
Hey, it's really big into cinema.
he is. Yeah, have you seen his movie collection?
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay, let's see. All right, so very terse, very brief, compact together, boom, 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 to get to the point. And then you meet this son, Shechem, and the father, and you get a sense of these Shechemites, these people that live there, these Hivites, that in a sense, we're eventually going to get to the land. But if they are meant to represent the people of the land in the conquest, they just deserved it. If they're meant to reflect those seven peoples that we'll talk about in a little bit, then okay. So in that sense, it's going to be a microcosm of the conquest story. We'll get back to that. Okay, let's see. There's this reference to Israel. Where's it at?
It comes in the next.
Oh, it's the next one. Okay, then we'll get there in a minute.
Well, next paragraph in the ESV.
Let's just move on because that's the setup. So she's been captured or something, taken. Now we're going to find out something about this clan, the Jacobean clan in comparison to the Hivites. And we're going to find they're not to be trifled with either. And it won't be the only time. You don't mess with this group innocently. They are well practiced in this kind of thing. And apparently how to deal with it. So 5 through 10, I'm not following the same divisions as them. That's another thing. Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter. But his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. There's no expressed anger, grieving over what happened, concern for his daughter. There's none of that. It's an argument from silence, but there's none of that on the part of Jacob. So the sons are out there. And in the meantime, Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. The sons of Jacob had come in from the field as soon as they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry. So did the meeting with Hamor happen before or after the sons found out about it?
I always read it as it happened before.
if it happened before, what deals were made? What was the transaction?
When it says the sons of Jacob came in as soon as they heard of it, what's the it? Is it the
What
meeting
happened
or
to
is it
Dinah?
the rape?
What happened? I'm sure what happened to Dinah. So now the sons of Jacob come in from the field as they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry. So he does not express that Jacob had any anger, although I'm sure he did, but he does express that the sons did. And the reason that he would express that the sons did is because it explains what the sons are about to do. Because he, Shechem, had done a disgraceful in the New American Standard thing. In ESV, it's outrageous. An outrageous or disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing must not be done. So look at that reference to in Israel. Well, there is no Israel at this point in Israelite history. There's just Jacob and his group. He's not even formally, really, been renamed to Israel. That's coming up in chapter 35. That's going to be a pivotal moment in the story of Genesis. So you have this reference back using this reference to in Israel, as if all of the rules and the traditions and so forth that were in play at the time of Israel were in fact in play at the time of Jacob. And it's as if he defiled the nation. He, Shechem, had defiled and dishonored a nation hundreds of years before there was the nation. Or something like that. Which in fact, that's exactly what was going on. But Hamor spoke with them. Brothers are there. The brothers are there. However, it happened before that. Saying, the soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him to be his wife. Where is Shechem? Furthermore, oh boy, is this a big furthermore? Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to yourself. And as soon as you read that, you think, look at the reference to in Israel just before that. If what they did to Dinah was disgraceful in Israel, what is intermarrying with the Canaanites in Israel? Disgraceful times 10. 2 orders of magnitude more disgraceful, as we'll find out shortly. So there's the threat to the covenant. Just on the eve of Jacob getting back, settling into Canaan, and so forth, forming his group and his identity, and them as the people of God. He's already been named Israel once by the angel, by God, when he wrestled with God all night before he came in. Now, after he gets in chapter 35, there will be another visitation, and he will be officially and formally renamed and anointed Israel, at which point they will become the clan of the people of Yahweh. Put away the foreign gods from among you. He builds an altar. He goes to Bethel. He builds an altar like his grandfather did. Yeah, like his grandfather did. Maybe Isaac did too. I don't know. But there's this I don't know, ritualistic thing where, they go to Shechem and they build an altar to Yahweh, the God of Israel. And so
Where are these guys going to get their wives? Where were Jacob's sons going to get the wives? If they didn't get them from the land.
that's a very good point. Where are they going to get their wives? We know how we know how it would get taken care of, says God. Look, I got Isaac a wife, and I got Jacob, 4 wives, but my way, even if you don't like his way, my way, this is not God's way. Hey, let's just intermarry with the people of the land. we'll look at some passages about that in a few minutes.
Which they ended up doing anyway.
Some of them did, yeah.
We don't know, other than for Joseph, we don't know, I mean, we don't know, they don't explain where the wives came from. Except for Judah's wife,
Yeah.
is explained.
No, I agree. But this is a step beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't just somebody Judah's gonna take a wife, what was her name?
I don't remember who
That was the daughter-in-law. That was the daughter. Yeah, the daughter-in-law.
I'll find.
What was the name of well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
So it's also the fact that we have passages here that kind of is established before God made the law, before God made the law.
Sure.
Because God said, don't intermarry when the Israelites went into the land of Canaan. Well, this is long before that happened. The same with Judah. Judah's son, his oldest son died, and so he took his second son and told him to marry
Tamar.
Tamar, and God hadn't established that till long.
Yeah, but
several years, hundreds of years later.
But the Israelite traditions appear to be in play here.
But I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff was happening before
Oh, yeah.
God actually made it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you asked Judah's first wife, her name was Shua.
Right. Yep. Yeah, but Joseph's gonna take a wife from Egypt. Moses' wife was a Midianite, the daughter of Jethro, the priest of Midian. But not this, where you give the people of God just assimilate. Because intermarriage like this, on this scale, is assimilation.
Exactly, they weren't necessarily taught, the focus wasn't so much on intermarriages, you're just gonna be a part of the community. And you're one of us.
Yeah, assimilation is the threat right here, expressed in, epitomized by this danger of intermarriage, which it'll be explicit here in a little bit. Okay. So there's the statement, verse 9. The grave threat, one of the most stark and obvious, and he could not make it more obvious, the narrator. You have the meaning of the speakers at the time, the people of Shechem, Jacob, and the brothers. You have the meaning of those people as they say things, and then you have the author's use of them in the narrative as he weaves it together. The people of Shechem, and ironically in this case, the people of Shechem and the narrator are thinking the same thing, assimilation. But the people of Shechem think it's a good thing. Narrator, we know, views it as a formidable threat to the covenant promise. God is not going to give them the land so they can just become Canaanites, like the rest of the Canaanites, says God. If I wanted to do that, I could have done that. And why didn't I just take the Canaanites? I didn't need you for that. All right, so.
My guess too is they have to know what type of family this is, because Jacob's a man who has a lot.
Yeah, well, that's going to come out.
Very well.
Yep.
And so how do you get better? Well, you surround yourself with people who are better than
Yeah.
yourself. So they're like, hey, this guy's coming in. The best thing we can do for us is to get in with him. Look, clearly, he knows how to do this.
Yeah, and their intentions are more malicious, as we'll see. It'll become explicit in a little bit. All right, make marriages with us. The Hamor is speaking. It's as if he's using the words exactly the way, in exactly the way that it is expressed and forbidden later. Do not take, well, maybe we should find that. Do not take their daughters to yourselves, nor do you give your daughters to them. It's that kind of language. I wonder if you can find one of those. I didn't exactly look. I was trying to hunt for. Somebody got one?
What were you looking for?
Right here. Oh yeah, I already had that one. Yeah, I already had it up. Oh, no, I didn't open it. Let's take a look at this. When the Lord your God brings you into the land that you are entering to take possession of it, this is after the Exodus, 40 years after the Exodus, maybe, clears away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, Shites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Hivites, Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and mightier than you. And when the Lord your God gives them over to you and you defeat them, then you must devote them to complete destruction. You shall make no covenant with them and show no mercy to them. You shall not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons or taking their daughters to your sons. Says Moses on behalf of God, hundreds and hundreds of years later, specifically mentioning the Hivites. Here come the Hivites. Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us and take our daughters for yourselves. It's just the same language out of the mouth of a Hivite. So what do you think is going to happen to these Hivites? You don't even need to read the rest of the story. What's going to happen to these Hivites at Shechem? This is so foreshadows the conquest. Huh? What's going to happen to the Hivites here? Exactly right. To finish off the parallel to what goes on at the conquest. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it. So that's the next sequence, if you will. We just read the passage from Deuteronomy, the threat of intermarriage. Then there's much, much later, post-exile. So I get a chance to show off a timeline. Which one do I want to show off? You want to see a timeline? Do I have a timeline in my? I've got to. Huh. I've never, look at that. I can't believe that. Let's see. Huh?
So what you've been doing.
I don't know. How did I go this far without Old Testament time? Is it? That's a Word doc. Yeah. Where's the? Huh. I lost the, well, I guess I'll open it back up. I've got a PDF of this somewhere. Okay. So here's sort of the history of Israel from what I refer to, if I was gonna, from the situation on the ground, if I was gonna describe, put a header over everything from Genesis chapter Jacob to the exile under the Babylonians in 586, 587 BC. If this was at this point, 2000 BC, 1500 years, 1400 years of history, I would put over the top of it the rise and fall of Israel. But anyway, we are now here. Eventually, they're going to be exiled under the Babylonians. The southern kingdom will be in 587 right here. Then there will be a return from exile under the Persians. I just put 539, I think, was sort of the changeover from the Babylonians to the Persians. But somewhere after that, we're going to get the return under Ezra and Nehemiah. Then there's going to be the temple restored and so forth. But I think that actually is a little bit later. But anyway, we're over in this period as these southern, let's just call all of them, as these exiles from what was formerly Judah, the kingdom of Judah, start to make their way back to the land of Canaan, which is now deserted as far as Israelites goes. It's just the people of the land again. We're back to this, the people of the land. here come the Jews. And so when they come back, numeral uno on the list of concerns on the part of Ezra and Nehemiah is exactly this issue. What's been going on while they've been in exile? Did they dilute their stock by intermarrying with the peoples? That's the concern. And there's 2 chapters dedicated to it. 9 and 10. After these things had been done, the officials approached me and said, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the peoples of the lands with their abominations, from the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites. There's no Hivites in this list, but, for they have taken some of their daughters to be wives for themselves. Look at that language. Exactly like Genesis, out of the mouth of Hamor. And for their sons, so that the holy race has mixed itself with the peoples of the lands. And in this faithlessness, or unfaithfulness, the hand of the officials and chief men has been foremost. So what are we going to do about this? This is great language. Then all who trembled at the words of the God of Israel, I would at this point, because of the faithlessness of the returned exiles, gathered around me while I sat appalled. I don't know what it looks like for him to sit there appalled. They all walk up to him and he's sitting there appalled and they go, wow, look at him. He's appalled.
If I remember right, isn't this the instance? Yeah, he pulled out his own hair from his head. Now, in Nehemiah, I don't know if it's talking about the same incident. Nehemiah, instead of pulling out his own hair, was pulling out the other guy's hair. That's what always stumped me with the.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's appalling too.
Yeah.
That's what it means to sit appalled. Hey, you don't want to sit appalled, because if sit appalled means pulling out your own hair. If you say that enough, it sounds funny. I sat appalled. It becomes like one word, sat appalled. What are you doing? I'm sitting appalled. Why are you pulling out your hair? I'm appalled. Anyway, until the evening sacrifice. That's a long time to sit appalled. At the evening sacrifice, I rose from my fasting, my garment and my cloak torn, and fell upon my knees and spread out my hands to the Lord my God, saying, and I am ashamed, and so on and so forth. Because how are they going to reconstitute the people of God if there's no distinction? All their plans to renew the land are dead in the water, because they can't distinguish between Israelites and any other people of the land. Let's see. There was where was I? What were they going to do about this? We have broken faith, verse 2. We have broken faith with our God and have married foreign women. From now, they're going to do something harsh. From the peoples of the land, but even now there is hope for Israel in spite of this. Because otherwise there's no hope for Israel. There's no Israel. Let us make a covenant with our God to put away, this is the harsh part, put away all their wives and their children according to the counsel of my Lord and of those who tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law. Brutal. I guess if you want to constitute an Israel, this is what you got to do. So and on and on. All because of intermarriage. Those guilty of intermarriage. Some of the priests, verse 18, who admit, they named them. It's kind of shaming. You're enshrined in the hall of infamy in the Bible. You're one of the priests who violated the categorical imperative of the people of God. Do not intermarry.
There were just priests or sons of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, who had a prominent role in the earlier part of this book.
And he names them all. Look at that. Goes on, of the singers. Oh, the singers too.
And you can never trust
The gatekeepers. Everybody has egg on their face. The gatekeepers, the singers, probably the janitors. Huh? Not the janitors, says Gabe. Not the janitors. It just goes on and on. Look at all that. All these married foreign women.
Yep.
Wow. Serious. And that's how this is chapter 10, right? That's how the book ends.
But wait, just like you don't deal with them anymore, did you have to
They
kill them?
divorced them.
The wives,
They,
you just leave them behind.
Oh, so they.
they divorced them, sent them.
Why, they just, if you want to go to here, take your choice. Israel's over there. The old life that you just, the life you had is over there. You can take your pick. But you can't have both. So
Could they
which,
become proselytes? Could these wives? have-
apparently not.
So is this the serpent seed and the man seed?
Hmm,
Because they can't distinguish between the, the Israel's holy people, so.
yeah, what is the seed of the serpent in Genesis chapter 3? Boy, a lot of speculation could go into that. If mine can wander all over the place. It's like everywhere you turn, there's the temptation.
Right.
I mean, I don't like to allegorize like I talked about last week, where it was the seed of the serpent is this sin that attracts you, or something like that. I don't do that kind of thing. But what he meant by that, he doesn't say either way, with the seed of the woman or the seed of the serpent.
Yep.
But we can fill in the blank pretty fairly on the seed of the woman, but the seed of the serpent, the threats to God's plan are everywhere all the time. At every corner on the path, every turn on the path, and every byway, behind every tree, everywhere the path of redemption goes, everywhere the people of God goes, there's threats all around, above and below. And this is the one for reconstituting Israel. We're back to the original conquest. They're coming back. We just read it, right? Deuteronomy 7. As you take the land, do not intermarry with those people. Well, now they're taking the land back. Ezra and Nehemiah, we're taking the land back. Do they just say, well, that ship sailed. We intermarried, so we'll just make the best of it, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. It's like a renewed taking of the land. That's the way they treated it.
And then you get to Nehemiah, and the high priest's father-in-law was one of the guys that were to control. It's kind of weird in the fact that Ezra comes and does this, and then you go to Nehemiah, and Ezra's still around at that time.
Yeah.
But Nehemiah comes, but the high priest still is taken of the, intermarried with I can't think of his name, but, and he put up a room so you in the temple, so you could, when any time you visited, you could sleep, have a place to sleep.
I think his name was Tobias or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the intermarriage thing. And if you wonder why I'm camping out on it so long, I think it's that important. That's what this chapter is doing here. It prefigures this problem that they're going to have later on in the course of their history over intermarriage. And specifically in this case with the Hivites, where you see over and over again, God's going to take them. This is before that Exodus in chapter 3 of Exodus. They're going to give them the land, and part of the land is they're going to overthrow the Hivites. And the Hivites, over and over and over. And so here, what do you know? We have an encounter with Hivites and a direct threat of intermarriage with them. And so this has to resolve itself. And there's a number of ways it could. They could just go they could say, nope, we want her back. We're not going to make any deals. That doesn't seem to me to have been an option. I don't know what they would have done. So what would they have done? It seems to me that Jacob here is possibly making some kind of deal, because he now exits the picture. And it's like it's like the negotiation is ongoing and the brothers see this happen. And they're thinking, no, this ain't gonna happen. And so they get in on it and say, oh yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. Here's the deal. Here's our terms. Can we all agree? And they're gonna have terms, which we'll get to next time, on how they will agree to this requirement, to this request by the Hivites. And it's a pretty harsh and graphic practice solution that the brothers come up with. So we'll deal with that next time because it's 10:15. But boy, that's another harsh story, man.
Yeah, that's pretty, it's, that's something, man.
Yeah. You know, Genesis, like Acts, the book of Acts, it's one of those books where if you read it at a superficial level, it's interesting, but you know, you don't see the point. But man, once you understand what's really going on, the amount of intrigue
Yeah,
and drama,
it's a lot of diversity.
it's unbelievable.
Kind of comes too fast, you know, like, it's like all of a sudden, you're like, whoa, you know.
One after another. It's only one chapter, like 30 some verses,
30 some person.
and then it resolves itself. It's a series of threats that resolve over and over and over again, all the way through the book to the very end.
It's definitely not a Hallmark movie.
Not a Hallmark. There's not a single one of those. And well, maybe the Rebecca Isaac story a little bit. Anyway, we'll go ahead and stop there. And we'll see you later.
Yeah.